Welcome, friends. Before we do anything else, let's begin with something I like to call a joy check in. Wherever you are, just pause for a moment. On a scale from 1 to 10, how full does your heart feel today? No judgment, no fixing, just notice. And give yourself just a few moments to check in. Check in with yourself. And I am now going to invite my guest, who I'm going to introduce in the full in just a moment, to share, and I'll share too. So, Erica, on a scale from 1 to 10, where's your heart today?
I would say probably around the middle, right
Okay.
square there in the middle. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Some days are middle days. I think about my day today, and it started off. I feel like I started off closer to like a three.
Mm.
And I I did something today I haven't done before. I haven't done it in a long time. I had a meeting cancel.
Oh,
And instead of usually I'm like, ooh, I can get some more stuff done. Instead of doing that, what I did was I set a timer and I sat for 15 minutes.
wow.
And I saw an increase in my joy, just giving myself that pause. And
Mm-hmm.
even if it could be the pause, but it could also be the combination of I gave myself permission to do nothing for
Mm-hmm.
15 minutes. Like I didn't
That's
do nothing. I
that's
looked out my
great.
window, watched a couple of squirrels. Like,
Okay. I like that.
yeah, I think it did good for my heart. And so I think my number then increased to
Good.
more closer to a seven, closer to an
Oh,
eight. Yeah,
oh, that's great.
yeah. So I don't know. It doesn't, we get to feel however we feel, be wherever we are.
And I
And at the
think
same, go
Mhm.
ahead.
I was just going to say for me, I feel like once we get into the conversation, you know, I my whole life is about balance, and I feel like um many days are right in the middle because of the juggle, because of the balance. I would say of all the things, mom of three, that
Yeah,
and then my business and family and just all the things that I'm involved in.
yeah,
It really is a balance of good and bad and crazy and stressed
yeah,
and I would say that for me, a five is good. It's like it's not bad. It feels like I'm okay. I'm good. I'm good.
yeah.
There's a lot going on. There's some fun things. There's some crazy things. There's some, raggedy things. But but
Hmm.
I'm good. And so I think that I would just check the box to say that that's a that's a good day for me.
Yeah, I love
Mhm.
that. I love that. And you said so much, and we haven't even really started the podcast yet. So
Yeah.
maybe we'll get into more of it in just a minute. For everyone listen, we are already here. This is Hell with Joy, y'all. This is a space where we talk about faith, we talk about mental well-being, and everyday practices that help us live with courage and compassion. My host, I am your host, y'all, Kelly Holder, and my heart behind this podcast is simple, is to remind you that joy is always available, even when life feels heavy. And so we have a special guest who you've already gotten to know a little bit. This is Erica Keats. She is an amazing artist, a business owner, a community member. She's a wife, she's a mom, and she is one of the most wonderful human beings that you will ever meet, guys. So thank you for being here so you can get to meet her if you do not know her already. Today, Erica runs a thriving freelance graphic design business, partnering with clients including the CJC Council, Message Magazine, the Waymakers Change Group, Black Paper Party, and Word, Beats, and Life, to name a few. As a CEO, founder, and creator of Black Forward or BLKFWD, she has built a company with a clear and joyful purpose, producing work that uplifts and empowers Black and Brown communities. Off the clock, Erica finds her rhythm in the quiet of nature, in the laughter-filled company of people she loves most, and in moments of deep spirit-led connection. She believes joy isn't just a feeling, it's a practice. She's in the right spot. And she shows up to that practice every day. Now rooted in Philadelphia with her husband and three children, Erica continues to create meaningful art and design and to live, lead, and love with an open and grateful heart. Oh my goodness. I'm so grateful that you're here today, Erica.
Me too. I'm glad I'm here with you, Kelly. This is exciting.
Yay. All right. First question. All right. When you hear the word joy, what does it mean to you in this season of your life?
Okay, I would say to me, it's a mix of contentment and bliss, like both at the same time. I've come to believe joy is constant, it's always around us. What I
Mm,
realize in this season is I am guilty with letting the busyness and the craziness of life distract me from experiencing it.
okay.
Um, I think it's found in the little things. So if I am tuning myself in, it's
Yeah.
that laughing with the people that I love,
Mm.
listening to stories from my 97-year-old grandma,
Oh my goodness.
um, a new song that could possibly touch me deeply, after hearing it for the first time, and then a piece of art or design that speaks to me. Those
Yeah.
are, some of the moments that I can miss if I'm not paying
Okay.
attention. And so I'm not always tuned in.
Mm,
I
hmm.
think that's where I need help and I need to, and I like your idea of putting a timer or putting like jotting something down, putting something out there so that you can remind yourself
Yeah.
uh, to be tuned in. And I think for me, I am starting to realize how important that is.
Yeah. You said some really, really great things about the places where you find joy. I think the most important thing you were reflecting on is this need or desire to continue to want to check in and know and be aware of the moments when they happen because sometimes they happen and you're just like, oh my goodness, like I wasn't even present for it because I was either wondering about something in the past or planning for something in the future.
Exactly. Exactly. You said it all, like you summed it up. And I think, you know, um, and I'll say it, I just turned 48 a couple weeks ago. And, I think at this stage of my life, I'm starting to, you know, understand more and more how important it is to, have the check-ins, and to just be truly honest with myself. I'm not trying to fool myself, which I think in my early years I may, have facade or, I've been, um, trying to be something that I'm not, maybe excited or enjoying something that I really wasn't enjoying, so
Yeah.
it's like, just really being honest with myself. And I think it just makes things easier. It's just, it just makes things, makes me move and navigate through life just with more ease, I would say. Like, I'm like, who you fooling?
Yeah.
It's just the, I would say the energy that it could take to just not be real and true to yourself. You're not fully present and real and realizing that, wear yourself out. So
Right.
I'm learning more and more as I'm approaching 50 that, I don't have time for that.
No, no, and you don't have time for it.
That's right.
You don't have time for it. I What you shared was just really powerful. It resonated with me deeply because I can think of seasons of my life where I had this idea that I am supposed to be enjoying certain things
Mm,
and then
mhm.
putting the effort into trying to enjoy those things, but those weren't my things. And why
Yeah,
am I taking on someone else's things? Why
yeah,
can't I just
yeah.
enjoy my own things,
Right.
whether others are enjoying it or whether it's the supposed to
Mhm.
place to be or to think, and so being able to reclaim
Mm.
your ability to say, hey, this is what's important to me. and I can
Yes.
put my time, my effort
Yes.
there.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
really powerful what you just shared. I'm just saying it back to
You
you.
know, you articulated it really, really well. And it's like I would agree with you. You know, I'm just thinking back to my 20s and, in those early years where I was trying to be impressionable and, do things and maybe shoehorn or, chameleon my way to, I don't know if that's a right saying, but you know what I'm saying, contort myself to
Hmm.
be something that I'm just not. And um, you know, I've I think that, I'm not all the way there yet, but it's just being wiser in these years has been such a release and
Yeah.
for me that I am
Mhm.
like living and learning. And maybe it's
Yeah.
those conversations with my grandma, you know.
Well,
She's so
I
wise, you know. She's always giving me good counsel and telling me good stories about, how she's handled things. And, I take things, little bits and pieces from those conversations, you
those
know.
conversations are everything. And it was the intriguing thing I wanted. I was going to follow up on when you mentioned it before. Now that you said it again, I have to ask, like, what are just one or two of the things that you've taken from getting to have those conversations with your grandmother?
I would say, she's always, first of all, I will tell you this, you know, um, right after we moved from Kansas City to Philadelphia, we moved in with my folks because it was easy. And maybe we'll get into that story a little bit later, but after maybe let's say after a couple of years, maybe a year and a half, my mom moved my grandmother to our house. So
Okay.
it was a bunch of us in the house. My family,
Wow.
parents, I think my sister Jackie was living there at the time. And then my grandma moves in. And she was just such a joy to be here. She loved being around the kids, she would get up and cry it on. And that's one of the things that impressed me was, you see, her room was almost right underneath where my husband and I stayed. And I would hear her like at 3:34 in the morning praying,
Wow.
like praying, like calling our names out.
Wow.
I don't even know if she knows that we could hear her, but it's like something that she was doing every day, And that was just a witness to me.
Yes.
It just made me realize, that, I'm definitely a spiritual person. I believe in God, but the practice of, that relationship, that daily
Yes.
relationship,
Yes.
sometimes, waking up late, I'm rushing, I don't have time, or at least I don't think that I have time.
Mm-hmm.
Just, her pausing, getting up early to talk to God like that was just so, you know, inspiring to me. And then, it's funny because she, when we're just chatting or whatever, she'll always say, I know I'm telling you, I probably told you this 100 times, but if I'm telling you the story again, you've already heard it, just tell me to stop. I'm like, no, Grandma, these are great. She tells stories about, and it's funny because she sees my kids
Yeah.
growing up and she's like, she, your son reminds me of my son, my Uncle George, and my Uncle Charles. And, when she shares things like this, I'm like, I think my kids will be all right.
Yeah.
You know,
They're gonna be just fine.
they're gonna be just fine. And not every story is like her trying to teach me something. Sometimes it's just her sharing her life, and through that, I am just learning, how to manage my life, with her wisdom. And she tells stories. She grew up in the South, and she's talked all about, just the life of a Black woman in the South,
Wow.
and coming through all of, the the new leadership and administration and the White House and just how it's affected her throughout the years to
Wow.
today,
Yeah.
and I think just the fact that she still has hope that there is good in the world
Yeah.
gives me a lot to be thankful and grateful for and to look forward to, because
She's
it's
lived through a
it's
lot.
dark and dingy right outside right now, in our country and in our world, but I appreciate the hope that she shares.
Yeah.
She's been
And
through a lot, so she knows.
yeah, it comes um when it comes from someone who's lived through a lot, it you can't help but feel hopeful. You know, you say, well, you've had 10 more experiences than I do, and you still have hope, right?
Right.
I
That's
can
right.
I can at least borrow some of your hope, even if I don't have my own at this
That's
moment.
right. That's right. Yeah, she's good people. She really.
Oh. I'm wondering if there was a time when joy felt distant. What might have helped you connect with that if you've had that experience?
Well, I talked about it a little earlier. In 2017, we decided to move our family from Kansas City to Philadelphia. And Kelly, I tell you, at just watching how everything just aligned perfectly, it was almost
Hmm.
like you just saw the hand of God just moving,
Wow.
and I was just like, this is meant to be like I was at a place in my life where my career was doing wonderful at Hallmark. I was an art director and leading many teams. My husband was doing well at his job. He actually hit a glass ceiling, and
Okay.
so he was feeling like he wanted something new. So he got an offer to move to a law firm here in Philadelphia. And so, he was like, what do you think about moving? Your family's there and all this. And so I was like, wow, this is big. Like, are you serious? Okay, let me see if this will work out. So I talked to my boss and Hallmark, and I asked them, if I could stay on with them, and they agreed. And I was like,
Okay.
okay, okay, okay. And then, we needed to sell our house, but we had like this ugly, like eyesore of a swimming pool in the backyard that needed to either be fixed up or like excavated, like something, we just needed to figure that out. And there were some workers working. My husband was actually living in Philly by this time. He had already started with his job. And I was like, what are we going to do? And there were these workers doing some construction nearby. And I was like,
Yeah.
I just asked them if they could take a look in the backyard to see what they can do. And do you know, because we had gotten quotes for like 20,000, 25,000,
Oh my goodness.
to just excavate it. I'm like, we don't have it like that. And so when I approached, the guys, they said, well, let's take a look at it. And they looked and they were like, oh, yeah, we could do this. Not a problem. They brought their equipment in and they excavated our entire background and backyard. And it looked like a pool was never there. I tell you, we grew grass, we
Wow.
put some seed down and everything, but they only charged us like a fraction of the price. Like I mean, they said we already have equipment here. They even had the dirt that they could fill in
What?
their site. They were like, we can just bring in our dirt because dirt is ironically very expensive. And so it worked out beautifully. And I'm like, oh, bam, bam, all of this is working out.
Yeah,
Everything's
yeah.
good. Found a moving company and I said, we have a baby grand piano. So I want to make sure that, you preserve it and you pack it up right. And they were talking through all the things that they could do to make it wonderful, pack it right, because we didn't want it to mess up. And everything sounded wonderful. So we hired them and they packed our house up. And it wasn't until that we were on the road, after they packed up our house, that I was like, something's not right. Well, what happened was the movers were actually scammers.
What?
They were literally, scammers, that they were scam artists, that they would, lure people in, people who are looking to move. They would take their money. So what they did was they took our money and never delivered our items, never. And they it was like a nightmare, Kelly. I promise you, it was a nightmare. All of our things, our photo albums, and, just sentimental things never showed up. And they dragged it on for like months. They're like, oh, yeah, well, it's fine. One of our drivers is sick. We'll call you when he's fine. And so it was like all these excuses. Finally,
Yeah.
could never get a hold of them. And then when we looked into it, we did some investigating and they were like, yeah, it's a multi-million-dollar scam. You know,
Wow.
they, they do these things. And, we were like, everything that seemed to just go so right, literally just
Mhm.
halted. And I'm like, our entire life was in that truck, you know?
Yeah. Oh
Um,
my
my
goodness.
oldest didn't have, he struggled with it. He was like, all his favorite toy. It was just a lot. And I felt like literally hopeless. As a matter of fact, every so often when I hear the hold music that they use, the
Okay.
company,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
it's triggering because I
Yeah.
every so often it'll just call a place and I'm like, oh
And it
gosh,
has that same hold music.
oh. And so
Oh my
I
goodness.
recall that. And, one of the things that, it was a hard time, but I think there were some good things that happened in tandem. And so I can talk a little bit about that, how I was able
Yeah.
to, live through it, and what it took. But like I said, we were living with my parents. And that was a blessing because they were like, you could live with us as long as you need to. Because we had a hard time finding a house. I mean, it was like all these things happened. Like the movers didn't deliver our things. We couldn't find a house. I mean, that would work for our family. My husband ended up like hating his job
Oh my
so
goodness.
much so that he was like, I gotta quit. I cannot stay here. He ended up quitting. We prayed about it and everything. And finally we just agreed to quit. My parents were like, y'all can just don't worry about it. Y'all can stay here. And then Hallmark fired, they let me go. They didn't
Oh
fire me.
my.
They just said, this is this long distance relationship is not really working, virtually. Like it's just tough. And it's so funny because 2 years later, everybody's working virtually. But it was
Wow.
just it was literally was like everything was like this, and then it started going like that. And I'm like, oh gosh, what are we doing here? I mean, I was on unemployment, SNAP and all these things, that was new. And um some of the good things that were happening that kind of kept us just going was just being surrounded my family, my parents. I have 5 sisters. They're all kind of living close, and I was able to get closer with them. My parents live across the street from our home church, and I
Yeah.
was able to spend time there and serve and minister in ways that I probably wouldn't have we moved somewhere else.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
My kids got into a really great school and they loved it. And we built a community of friends because of that school
Okay.
they were in. So it's crazy that even though we were going through all this craziness, we felt like we were held,
Yeah.
like we were able to just feel the love from everyone that was around us, support. My mom and dad were amazing. I mean, they pretty much let us take over their house. I mean, they're not like, breathing down our necks. I mean, it literally was our house. Um, and um, and I would just say, like, even within the pandemic, we were all just 9 of us, literally, it was in this one house. But I think it was beautiful because we got to learn, more about each other, including my grandma was there. And Black Forward was essentially born during that time. So
Wow.
there was a lot of, even in the crazy, we saw the blessings that were
Yeah.
still reaching us and touching us during that time. So, yeah,
Yeah. Oh man, that's an incredible story. I can't imagine what it feels like to have lived through all of those things and at the same time understand just how beautiful it is to while there is suffering happening to be able to see the goodness that's nearby or even the goodness that's holding you.
that's right. That's right.
You know,
Exactly.
that in of itself is a blessing because sometimes things can get bad and we can't see the
Mhm.
good that's keeping us together,
That's
or at
right.
least holding it together
That's
while
right.
you traverse this
Right.
difficult journey.
Right. I agree. And it's funny, like during that time, I remember reading something that stopped me in my tracks. It said, and you may have heard this before, but worrying is worshiping your problems.
Yeah,
And when I
yeah,
when I read that, I was literally like, wow, never saw it like that. And it made me realize the more time and investment that I spend in that worrying and just being frustrated and, my stress level going up and blood pressure, all these things, I'm like, I am making it something that I am worshiping. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I can't live there. Like I can't, even though, life, as I say, life be life. And
Mm-hmm.
I've realized that it's okay to still have joy in the midst of it all. And if I'm not tuned in, as I was saying earlier, you can miss it. You could
Yeah.
literally miss it if
Yeah.
I'm pouring myself into worry. And not everything in my life is going to be easy, and I think that realization in itself um, makes me truly understand why it's so important to stay connected not only with community, which was happening during that time, but God. God is that
Yeah.
constant
Yeah.
presence. And He's always there. Like He's always there. Like we
Yeah.
don't have to do anything. We don't have to buy our way, spend, loads of money. It's like
Right.
He is free, for us to come to each and every day. And
Yes.
not that He's going to have a magic wand changing our, situations here and there, but the fact that He's close and that He's always there, ever present, morning, noon, night, in the middle of the night, all of that is, if you really just pause to think about it, it's a true blessing.
It
It really
is.
is. And so that's what I lean on during my times of difficulty. Because I mean, we know it's going to happen. It's inevitable. It's inevitable. And
Yeah.
so I think that that's what keeps my calm and keeps my joy. Um,
Yeah.
yep. So yeah.
That's really beautiful because I think sometimes we believe if we do everything right, if we show up in the right ways, if we take good care of ourselves, if we complete this list of awesome things, it will protect us from being human beings and maybe nothing terrible or bad or challenging will happen to us. And that is absolutely untrue. You
Mhm.
know, life is going to life till we're unlife. You know what
That's
I'm
right.
saying?
That's
So it and the nuggets that you just gave us of knowing that we can always be connected to God and that's where our real joy really does come from. And then he gives us this opportunity to develop community and have people around us, all the folks in the flesh that he sends to
that's right.
support us along the way.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
I
so
know
much.
we're getting close to our time. So I would like last question. If someone's listening who might be struggling a little bit, who might feel like joy is a little bit far away, what is the take-home message you would like to leave with them today?
I would say, um, and I like how you started off this conversation. How you just took a moment to just be. You paused, you put your timer on, and you allowed yourself to just be and step away and sit. Um, if we are not tuned in and paying attention to the beauty that's around us in the midst of, like I said earlier, the crazy or the raggedy, we can miss out on some wonderful things.
Yeah.
So give yourself some of the things that I enjoy doing is taking a walk in
Mm,
nature,
hmm.
listening to a good book while I'm in the walk. It's just something about it. It's like tomorrow I have something to look forward to. Those are the kind of moments that I feel are just special.
Yeah.
Um, like I said, figuring out what brings you joy, excitement, contentment, happiness, and try to invest more time into those things if you can.
Yeah.
Not everything is going to cost money either. So maybe
Right.
it's figuring out a way to do it that's not going to be a burden on you financially, but just being honest with yourself. sometimes in marriage is a place where, you may um, believe or think that what you two, or what he enjoys or what she enjoys is what you enjoy. It may not be, figuring out what joy looks like for you may take some
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
so jotting it down, journaling, really truly being honest with yourself is tough, but
Yeah.
I think it's doable, it's achievable.
Oh, yeah. And it's worth every effort.
It
It's
is.
worth every effort, you
It is.
know?
It is.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for being here and
Oh,
having
thank
this conversation with me.
This was great.
Listen, oh, good. I'm so glad. Listen, everyone, through it all, we are reminded that joy is always available in every season and in every experience. It doesn't always come easily, and it's not always what we expect, but it's there. And sometimes it just means we have to take the time to be aware and see where it is and what it is. So, if today you're listening and you're having trouble reaching it, if it feels far away or buried underneath everything you're carrying, please remember this: you are seen, you are valued, and you matter. And you are held with joy. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And until next time, please take gentle care of yourself. All right? Bye, everyone.
Hi, friend. Have you ever looked completely fine on the outside while something deep inside you was quietly breaking? I have. And friend, I was a clinical psychologist who taught this stuff. I knew the research, I taught self-care, I helped others heal, but I was giving what I didn't have. My emotional resources were gone, and I was still performing, still showing up, still trying. And one night I found myself crying at the dinner table while my children watched. And in that broken moment, God met me there. He showed up and he showed me that I had been teaching people to survive, but not to fully flourish. And here's what changed everything for me. Joy isn't the reward for when life finally calms down. It's not waiting for you on the other side of your breakthrough or your healing or your success. Joy is available right now, in the middle of the mess, in the waiting, in the hard. And that's why I've created Joy University, a sacred space for women of faith who are done surviving and ready to live emotionally whole, spiritually grounded, and genuinely joy-filled today. Because, sweet friend, burnout was never meant to be the price you pay for purpose. Comment joy or DM me joy and let's walk this path together. You were made for more than this.